Hold on tight as we plunge into the heart-pounding world of animal showdowns. Brace yourself for the untamed and unpredictable clashes that unfold in this electrifying compilation. We unveil 20 pulse-raising instances where creatures stepped into the ring with the wrong opponent. From spine-chilling face-offs to jaw-dropping confrontations, these extraordinary moments will leave you on the edge of your seat, immersed in the raw power and cunning tactics of the animal kingdom. Prepare to be awestruck as nature's unrelenting force comes to life, revealing the harrowing consequences when animals misjudge their rivals. Get ready for an adrenaline-fueled adventure that will leave you breathless as we witness animals pushing their limits in a thrilling battle for survival. These are 20 times animals messed with the wrong opponent. Number 20. Footage shows wildebeest soaring over the heads of 2 lionesses as it escapes 7 hungry big cats. This is a bit of a remarkable footage that was captured at the Kruger National Park in South Africa. As you can likely see for yourselves, it shows the high-speed pursuit of a wildebeest by a whole bunch of lions, and it all gets rather hairy for a moment there. The wildebeest, however, is not about to lay down and become the main course for these greedy big cats, and it shows just how tough a prey animal can be when it comes to life or death. The wildebeest performs an extraordinary leap over the top of 2 lionesses and then continues the sprint of its life to outrun a total of what appears to be 7 big cats. Not only does the wildebeest do an excellent and effective job of outrunning a whole gang of predators, thus making them look pretty inept to be honest, but it also manages to land a pretty hefty kick right in the face of one of its pursuers. It leaps into the river and more lions give chase, but as the prey reaches the other side, it seems to make one final leap into dense undergrowth and disappears out of sight, leaving those lions wondering what the heck that they're actually doing with their lives. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Now it's time for the sweet topic. In a moment of audacity, a frog jumped onto a seemingly unsuspecting snake, only to face dire consequences. This ill-fated encounter took an unexpected turn as the snake swiftly retaliated, striking back and ultimately devouring the regretful frog. The chilling event served as a reminder of the harsh realities of the natural world, where impulsive actions could have grave consequences. It highlights the delicate balance of predator and prey, teaching us to tread cautiously in the face of unknown adversaries. But there's an extra twist to this tale. The frog was poisonous, and so, while he may have lost his life, it was something of a kamikaze mission. As so did the snake. He ate a venomous frog and quickly paid with his life. Mother Nature is truly more shocking than fiction at times. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments section below using the hashtag #SweetTopic. Number 19. Mama goose defends flock against animals they'd never encounter in the wild. Geese are basically total psychos, that much really goes without saying. These scary birds think nothing of starting a fight with basically anyone or anything that they might think has given them a funny look. But if you happen to get too close to a mother goose when she's with her babies, well, my friend, you might as well be dead. She's going to kick your ass. This footage seems to have been captured at a zoo or safari park or some such place, so the giraffes are in a location that they would not normally find themselves in the wild. These geese, on the other hand, are roaming freely wherever the chuff they like, as geese are wont to do, regardless of anything you might do to try and stop them. So perhaps the giraffes are curious or bored. You know, they mainly get to look at humans gawping at them all day, and an exotic visitor is likely to cause quite the stir in the enclosure. And it certainly did, but the wrong kind if I'm being honest. These giraffes got too close to this mother's offspring, and after a kind of warning shot, she then let them have it. These giraffes likely never even ran that fast from a lion at that kind of speed. Number 18. Mongoose escapes deadly cobra strike in the nick of time. So, just what this little mongoose was up to seems the tiniest bit mad. It's likely that there was a nest nearby that the little mammal was protecting from the deadly snake, and despite just how bonkers the idea seems, the mongoose has quite the reputation for taking on some of the deadliest snakes on Earth and, well, kicking their asses. It turns out that not only are these furry mammals kind of good at killing snakes, but they're also equipped with a secret weapon. They're immune to snake venom. So that helps with the bravery somewhat, I should imagine. This footage would be shot at a private game reserve in the Northern Territories of South Africa, where this time the furry creature is a yellow mongoose and the snake is a Cape cobra. But they're both still pretty peeved to see each other, and the fight goes on for ages, and seems that neither of these animals is going to give an inch, let alone leave the fight by themselves. The snake is cornered by the mongoose, but they both keep on snapping and hissing and generally laying into one another. As the snake manages to eventually break towards the freedom of the open space outside, the mongoose is not prepared to let it get away that easily and pursues the reptile all across the ground, attempting over and over to grab it and get a hold of it. The snake is lucky, well, this time anyways, and manages to evade the animal's grasp, slinking off down to a hole in the ground. Unfortunately for the cobra, the mongoose follows, and what happens next, who can say? But given the mongoose's snake-murdering pedigree, my money would be on the little furry one. Number 17. Raccoon enters chimp exhibit at Missouri Zoo. So it turns out that chimpanzees are extremely violent thugs who do not take kindly to unexpected visitors. This raccoon would discover just how inhospitable these primates could be the hard way. Now I know raccoons are pretty feisty and unpleasant themselves. These critters are the first to lash out and bite in a fight, and they often feature rabies and go straight for the softest and most vulnerable parts of an opponent. Yes, usually the genitals. This video shows a raccoon that has strayed into the chimpanzee enclosure at the St. Louis Zoo in Missouri. It would not be long before the raccoon realized its terrible mistake and then rapidly changed its mind about the entire thing. The chimpanzees would express their fury at the intrusion by grabbing a hold of the errant raccoon and pummeling it a bit before literally throwing the creature across the enclosure. At this point, the dazed raccoon then decides to make a dash for it and heads to a pipe in the wall. The chimps are too quick, however, and they grab the poor creature by the tail. One chimp then holds the raccoon down so that another one can punch it. Chimpanzees are clearly not the cute and cuddly creatures that we've all been led to believe. Number 16. Iguana chased by army of deadly snakes. This incredible escape story first aired on the BBC nature documentary show Planet Earth 2, and it really caught people's imaginations. The small young iguana seems to be in quite a pickle as snakes begin swarming around him. There are snakes everywhere, and they appear to be coming at him from every conceivable direction. So what is the little guy going to do? Well, apparently snakes can only see when an animal is moving. So if he can stay completely still, well, no such luck. He moves, and they move. All of them move, and it seems like hundreds of snakes start slithering towards the iguana. He's running with all legs flapping wildly and his little heart thumping away, but the snakes are relentless, and he seems to be in big trouble. Suddenly, he is coiled in what appears to be a whole heap of serpents, a writhing mass of cold-blooded wrestling and murder. But just then, as fast as he was caught, he was once again free and scampering at a pace up the side of a cliff and back to safety. It's nothing short of miraculous that he made it out alive, and how much did you enjoy seeing the little guy run? Number 15. Lion versus turtle. Sometimes nature is just really weird. Although you would probably imagine that a standoff between a big fierce lion and a teeny-weeny turtle would probably end in exactly one way, well, you would be wrong. Here, in a delightful couple of minutes worth of footage that was taken at the Mala Mala Private Game Reserve inside of Kruger National Park in South Africa, a surprising interaction was captured. As we've seen before, going to the watering hole is a very risky business. This is a prime hunting spot where predators lie in wait for easy prey to be at their most vulnerable. But usually, it is the lions doing the menacing rather than some minuscule little upstart with a territorial dispute. But here we are. This little turtle is having none of these big cats slobbering into its home and takes matters into his own hands. The turtle gets right up into the faces of the drinking lions and strongly recommends that they go elsewhere. When they continue to drink and pay no heed, they receive a sharp nip on the tongue. Well, this turtle is unlikely to fight a lion to the death, but you kinda have to admire its balls. Number 14. Zebra escapes from the jaws of a hungry crocodile while crossing a river in Kenya. While it may appear that this zebra is having a hard time swimming, perhaps he hasn't practiced enough with his rubber ring. As it reaches the shore, the cause of its difficulties are soon made more clear. The unfortunate animal has been dragging a ruddy great big crocodile across the water attached to its leg. That sort of extra weight and definite discomfort would become sufficient to hold back even the most Michael Phelpsy swimmers, at least just a little bit. This footage would be captured at the Mara River nearby the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya, and as a herd of zebras tried to cross the water, one gets into trouble as a crocodile makes itself closely acquainted with its leg. Somehow, the zebra makes it to the other side, and then this is the weirdest part, to be honest, the zebra manages to step out of the mouth of the crocodile. Then a few other crocodiles swim up, and a few other zebras join in as well, and it seems somewhat reckless given the circumstances, but there you go. Somehow, all the zebras walk away intact, and the crocodiles seem to swim off without claiming their lunch. Number 13. Alligator versus tiger. Who would win in a fight? Beautiful, mysterious, and beloved, tigers are the biggest of all the big cats and are also among the most dangerous beasts in all of the animal kingdom. So the thing with tigers is that they're massive, fast, and have a lot of really pointy things that they're not afraid to use. Their claws each measure 4 inches, and their teeth are 3 inches long and presented in a huge and extremely powerful jaw. The perfect combo for doing a lot of violent dining. Tigers are generally measuring up to 3 to 4 feet tall and have a length of around 8 feet to 12.5 feet. Alligators are amongst the coolest large reptiles on Earth. They can grow to around 13 or 14 feet in length, although the longest ever recorded was actually 19.2 feet long. They weigh between 400 and 800 pounds, but as well as their size and stealthy strength, alligators have some fairly fierce teeth of their own, and a bite force that's more than double that of a tiger's. So, if these two creatures were to get entangled into a brawl, what would happen? There would likely be an almighty tooth fest, and nobody would really win. If the alligator managed to do its signature death roll on the tiger, then it could rip off its limbs and render the big cat useless. Likewise, if the tiger landed the first bite in the right spot on the alligator's head, then it would be lights out for that reptile. They would probably do their best to avoid getting into a mix-up. Fortunately, for the most part, they're unlikely to ever come into contact. Number 12. Snake eats crocodile after battle. Next up, we have the lovely story of a massive snake, which appears to be a python that managed to defeat a crocodile and then eat it. Yes, as weird and unlikely as it may sound, this python was seemingly pretty efficient in the killing and consuming of this reptile. It would be witnessed by local residents in northern Queensland in Australia, and they seemed kind of excited to see the snake squeezing the life out of the crocodile and then swallowing it whole. I mean, it is probably a boring place to live, but really watching this real-life murder is kind of harrowing rather than thrilling. But then again, when you get so excited about something that you feel compelled to ring up the news to tell them all about it, then you may be a rather special individual to begin with. Who could possibly say? What do you think, though, of all this? Is it a pretty brutal outcome? And who the heck knew that snakes would eat such wobbly and gnarly creatures like crocodiles? Let's get stuck in this argument in the comments down below. Number 11. Golden eagle grabs mountain goat and drops it to its death. Mountain goats are rather extraordinary animals. They have a remarkable ability to clamber up nearly vertical cliff faces and dig into ledges that are barely even visible. It all seems to defy gravity quite well. Mountain goats are basically climbing machines, hairy, horny machines, and their bodies are extremely slender, and their hooves are essentially purpose-built for ledge balancing antics. They have a hard outer part that helps them to dig into the ledges, and a soft pad underneath their hooves that molds to the mountain's contours like climbing shoes would do. So you would imagine that they were probably fairly robust animals, and this video shows an especially brutal and shocking technique that's employed by a golden eagle that was either feeling very peckish or was just feeling extremely violent. The eagle, which is in the Italian Alps apparently, picks up a mountain goat from the side of the mountain, gripping it viciously around the neck with its dagger-sharp talons. The goat weighs about 5 times the amount that the eagle does, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for this bird of prey. The bird then takes off with the huge goat while it flails about helplessly. Then, in the most astonishingly chilling scene, it simply drops the mountain goat to its death with as little care as if it were dropping a nut to break it open. Then presumably the eagle can eat the goat at its leisure. Nature is one cold-hearted beast. Number 10. Zebra desperately defends her foal. It's a tough world out there in the wild. This fairly unpleasant video shows just how cutthroat a business it can be. The footage shows a baby zebra being held underwater by a male. The zebra is a rival male that seems to be hell-bent on removing the young zebra from the face of the earth so as he can have a chance to procreate with the baby's mother. This is the sort of hierarchical stuff that goes on in the herds, and it's nothing if not brutal. The footage shows the attack in full flow as the young zebra is held down by the much larger and stronger male as the baby's mother tries desperately to intervene. The baby manages to wriggle itself loose and get to its feet, running away. But then that's when the chase begins. It's a tough watch. In fact, we never really see if the foal survives the onslaught. The reason that this is likely a regular occurrence in herds of zebra is that they are generally grouped in harems. That's a group with one dominant male and as many as 6 females and their foals. The males will fight for the females and often steal them from other stallions, meaning that in order to achieve dominant status, males will regularly have to kill a foal that's been born outside of their own harem so that they cannot become a rival. It's a really brutal way of organizing things. Number 9. Black bear climbs tree to grab a baby eagle. While out fishing in northern Saskatchewan, this guy caught a little more than fish. He captured an extraordinary moment when a black bear climbed a tree right to the top in order to bag itself a baby eagle snack. Yes, it is as brutal as it sounds, and you thought that bears were cute. It apparently took a full 15 minutes for the bear to clamber its way up the tree toward the nest, and meanwhile, 2 extremely angry eagles flew and swooped and squawked all around it in an attempt to prevent the bear from making it to their offspring. But the bear persevered and slowly found itself at the top and claimed its prize. Much to the disdain of the 2 eagles, I might add. It's a remarkable and somewhat surprising sight, and as the fishing footage capturer says, nature is without mercy. And maybe, like he says, the eagles would choose a safer spot for their nest next time. Or maybe they, like I, would never have envisioned this particularly violent scenario to be a possibility. Number 8. Gazelle sidesteps and dodges lion attack. A local watering hole is a very risky place to hang out. This is a spot where many animals seem to suddenly and unceremoniously meet their maker. Lots of predators know that this is a great place to lurk and wait for an unsuspecting snack to wander into their crosshairs. All animals need to take a drink at some point, so it is a guaranteed buffet for the bigger and badder creature. The gazelle is standing daintily at the water's edge having a drink when all of a sudden a massive lion runs into the frame at full speed. It's quite shocking to see just how fast this takes place when the lion is in full flight like this, and it's no small wonder that they're named the kings of the jungle. Except that this time the result is not what you would expect. The gazelle, although clearly surprised by the lion's appearance, seems to have a special skill at the ready. This animal simply does a rapid turn, and instead of running in the direction that the lion is heading, the gazelle turns on a dime and hot-foots it in the opposite direction altogether. The lion can't turn a complete 180 while such at high speed, and by the time the predator realizes what has happened, the gazelle has escaped. Number 7. Alligator versus grizzly bear. Who would win in a fight? Alligators have some fairly aggressive skills when it comes to the fighting department, but what if one of them faced off with a grizzly bear? It seems as though they would both have a potentially tough go at it. The alligator would, given half an opportunity, pull out that lethal and amputating death roll and tear the limbs from the bear. The bear is capable of a rapid and fierce attack with both teeth and claws. Alligators are generally between 400 to 800 pounds, and a grizzly bear can weigh up to 700 pounds. Alligators grow between 8 and 12 feet long, but they stand only about 1 to 2 feet high from the ground. Grizzlies, on the other hand, are up to 10 feet long and stand 4 feet high at the shoulder. The alligator wins hands down in bite force. Alligators have a bite force of 2,980 psi, and grizzly bears only get up to about 975. However, they also have different fighting styles. The alligator is an ambush predator and will generally attack from the water where it has the upper hand, knowing to drag their prey into the water and then drown it, or use that death roll, of course. Bears tend to be opportunistic predators, scavengers, and rather than ambushing sorts, so it seems as though the alligator may just likely win this fight. Number 6. Texas house cat fends off coyote on front porch and lives to tell the tale. This is a bit of a hairy moment that was caught on film. This house cat used up a few of its 9 lives in a scuffle with a wild coyote on this porch of a home on a residential street. The coyote may have thought that it had found itself an easy dinner, but the cat had other ideas and managed to put up quite a fight. As the howling and lunging commenced, it really doesn't look so good for the little cat. The coyote seems to have all the moves, plus the additional size and strength, and the cat seems cornered. But the scuffle continues for almost a minute, and then the cat seems to recognize that it is unlikely to actually win this fight and beats a hasty retreat upwards. It clambers up the side of the porch out of the reach of the wild animal and just clings on for dear life. The coyote sees the battle is done and skulks back into the night. Number 5. Kangaroo shoved through fence during fight at Canberra Nature Reserve. Kangaroos are pretty well known for their penchant for punch-ups. These funny-shaped and muscular animals are always getting into it with each other, and boxing is their favorite form of fisticuffs, it would seem. This footage captures a punch-up between 2 kangaroos in the Canberra Nature Reserve in Australia. The kangaroos managed to lay a whole flurry of punches right in the face of each other and a few more powerful kicks to the abdomen and groin. Kangaroos will use their tails as a sort of additional leg so that they can kick out with full force of their back legs at the same time. It's enough to send an opponent flying. They don't mess around, these marsupials. The fighting is rough and aggressive and pretty relentless, and then one throws the other against the fence and the fallen roo goes right through the panels and disappears from view. These creatures can grow to be 5 feet tall and weigh up to 187 pounds, and along with all of that height and weight, they also pack quite a considerable amount of power. Males will routinely leap 30 feet in one single jump. There are loads of red kangaroos in their native Australia, and in fact there are so many of them that there's quite a lot of kangaroos that are turned into tasty burgers and steaks each year. So this guy is lucky that he just got chucked through a fence rather than being placed on a Barbie. Number 4. Dramatic moment lioness sneaks up on sleeping hippo. Let sleeping hippos lie. That's the message here, I would say, and if you must disturb one, you should keep your distance. A lioness stalking through Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya would spot a hippo laying in the grass. I guess the lion thought that a lounging hippo was simply easy prey enough, or at least not much threat if she went to have a nose around, but boy was she wrong. The huge hippopotamus was quickly alert to the lion's probing and whipped around, grabbing the lion's head in its mighty jaws. not a place to put your head really. They have gigantic teeth, and a hippo's jaws are so powerful they can literally crush bones or splinter wooden boats in half. This lioness was lucky enough to be able to get free from the hippo's grip with her head attached to her body, but I should imagine that she learned a pretty big lesson and will probably refrain from poking any more hippos anytime soon. For now, she'll be giving these beasts a wide berth. Number 3. Gorillas fighting. Gorillas are amongst the closest relatives to humans in all of the animal kingdom. As great apes, we share a lot of juice with these extraordinary animals, and we all know just how dangerous human beings can be. So if gorillas share any of the psychotic stuff that people seem to have, then these big guys could turn out to be very dangerous indeed. But actually, it seems that gorillas are gentle giants most of the time, and it's just people who are the jerks. But I think that we already knew that. Gorillas are only dangerous when they feel threatened or when a couple of silverbacks are fighting each other. Then, if you're anywhere in the vicinity, well, it's time to make yourself scarce. When a gorilla feels threatened, they will likely let you know. A gorilla sends warning signs by stamping their feet, beating on their chests, and making a whole ton of noise. It is to warn off any potential threat, and sometimes that is enough to get the message across. If not, well, that's where the trouble begins. Gorillas fight dirty, and they'll bite and scratch and drag their victim around. It's a mess like a bar brawl, except you're almost definitely going to wind up dead. Number 2. Labrador saved ducks from alligator attack. Here we are with a heartwarming tale of a black Labrador named Beauty, who is friends, allegedly, with a bunch of ducks, although you may be watching video of a dopey duck scampering about in between a lot of alligators without a dog in sight. Who could possibly say at this point? Beauty, the dog, so the story goes, put itself between an alligator and a group of ducks outside of her home in Florida. The encounter saved the birds' lives and left Beauty pretty beaten up with a broken femur and several gashes on her back. She was lucky to be alive, and I'm sure her owner relished the veterinarian bills as well. Ah, such a hero. Number 1. Smaller adult grizzly bear fights enormous male and wins. The massive hulking figure of the grizzly bear is the familiar symbol of the North American landscape, and it's well known that these colossal creatures can be pretty dangerous. As apex predators, grizzlies are at the top of the food chain, which basically means that they can eat whatever they gosh darn like, and nobody is going to stop them. They eat a really broad diet from nuts and berries to other non-danger sounding vegetarian snacks, all the way through to large mammals like moose and bison, and basically everything in between. Because the grizzly bear hibernates during winter, these animals need to store up lots of fat during the summer and autumn months to keep them going through the cold. So they can often be found snarfing down mountains of freshwater salmon, gorging on the fatty fish to boost their own essential flab. This footage captures an older and much larger grizzly bear in combat with a smaller and younger one. The outcome is kind of surprising, but then again, bears tend not to be all about fighting. They're mostly about eating and resting because they do have their priorities. Mostly solitary, grizzlies tend to roam around the wilderness alone like a deep and meaningful music video or a wistful poet. But don't let their sad appearance fool you. These dangerous bears can run at 30 miles an hour, which is faster than you can, trust me. And they do pose a real threat to humans if they feel in danger or their cubs are nearby. Or, indeed, if they have a sore head. That's all for today's look at animals messing with each other. Which of these encounters surprised you the most, and have you ever witnessed a fight between an unexpected pair of creatures? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Be sure to check out the other cool things showing up on the screen, and I'll see you next time.